Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. I hope my cat's just arrived. Let her just make her grand appearance. I hope you're all wonderful and well and having a wonderful time wherever in the beautiful world you are. And I have with me two very cool people in the background waiting to emerge. And of course, you all know Miles Johnston from the Basis Project, the crazy Irishman. He's had a haircut, and I think it has to do because he has two girls on the show with him tonight. So he's got to look all spliffy for us. I can see him in the background. And then, of course, Tina Bird, very interesting. Also was part of the Basis Project this year and has been an abductee by aliens for, I do believe, over 50 odd years. So good grief. We're going to be hearing lots of interesting things on this channel tonight. And just when you think you heard it all, more enter. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Lisa D, Colleen, Edith. So nice to see you guys there. But I just want to do some of the announcements for the week quick. So let Grandma here just, ta-dam, enlarge her screen so I can see what's going on. Okay, tonight we have Miles and, of course, Tina. I think I have day off tomorrow, but I'm not sure. Watch the schedule. There might be a show that pops in there. And then, of course, our usual double trouble with Jesse on Wednesday. In the Field with Shanti is not going to be on at 4 o'clock on Thursday. Guy Anderson, we've literally just changed the times now 5 minutes ago. So it looks like Guy Anderson's going to be on at 4 o'clock, and I'm probably going to be on at 6 o'clock then. But again, please just watch the schedule. There are a few changes. Dropping with Shanti, yes, we're doing the sequel to The Fall of the Cabal. And at the moment, we're looking at a lot of these forced vaccines and how they literally were trying to take out the entire planet, and starting in Africa with these vaccines that were absolutely slaughtering the people. And then what I'm going to do Saturday, we do the Epstein interview. That's going to be on Aquarius Rising Africa. Epstein was interviewed by Steve Bannon, and it's like a 2-hour interview. And I really want us to watch that. I've watched most of it. I haven't finished it yet, but I just find it absolutely fascinating, knowing what we do know about him now and listening to him speak in this interview. And then one starts to understand how that mind of his starts working. It's very interesting, I find anyway. So we're going to be doing that on Saturday on Arrow at 4 o'clock. So join us for that. Just going to be hanging out, doing the movie thing. And then, of course, on Sunday, the Sunday Loop, where we play the older shows, reruns of the older shows. But as usual, there's a couple of ones that I haven't quite confirmed yet. So watch the schedule. There's bound to be some other shows coming up this week as well. Nice to see you all, everybody. And without any further ado, here's the beautiful Tina Bird. And, of course, Miles with his new haircut, especially for us ladies. And I noticed we're both sitting on your head, Miles. So are we henpecking you here? Are you feeling a bit henpecked, Miles?
Yeah, but
Miles, where's your sound
my
gone?
interdimensional Johnny Enoch spaceship.
Where's your sound gone? I can't hear you.
Oh.
Can you hear him, Tina?
My God.
Well, hello, Chantal and Miles. It's good to be with Chantal.
I can't hear you.
Hear me?
Can you hear me, Tina?
I can hear you, yeah.
I think I have to get that special mug. We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yes, here I go. Yes, I've got it now. Thank you. I had a switch turned off here. Sorry about that. My problem.
Not the off switch. You didn't operate the off switch. God, no!
No, I did not. It was the mute switch for 3 seconds. Can you believe it? I muted myself.
Well, we could hear you. So everything you said was just so embarrassing, frankly.
I'll have to embarrass myself. What can I say? It must be an African thing.
Oh no, you don't need to bring the rest of Africa into this. No, you just were just too embarrassed.
Huh?
Tina, I
I'm
don't know
just
how
a
to
wild
engage
white woman from Africa. We cool, yeah. We cool, yeah. You guys haven't even been here. You should come here and do your basis project right here. And then you're in the in team. You're in the in team then.
That's a good idea.
Actually, I've just realized I'm outnumbered here, so I've got to be careful.
And you know what? I mean, no, seriously, if we're having a discussion about this, think about the exchange rate in South Africa to what you guys have. You're getting it for a good price. You'll be doing well, yeah. Everyone will come and then they can like come look at our lions and elephants and things, the things you guys think run around in our streets. We actually have to go to the bush for them. We don't see them in
Are
our
you talking
streets
about the
anymore.
wildebeest?
I actually work at a zoo, so I see zebras every day.
The wildebeest.
Wildebeest. That's not one of the big five, but it's very cute. I love wildebeest. Yeah. Anyway, Miles, Tina.
She's a pioneering woman in first class.
You what? Sorry, carry
No
on. I didn't hear you.
She is a hard woman, and she is as mad as hell, and she can't take it anymore. Wrong movie.
Tina, can you tell us why you're so mad and what you can't take anymore?
Well, well, I'm very angry actually. Miles is right. What it is I'm just a normal everyday person. Nothing special about me. I was born and raised in England in Southampton. I've worked all my life. I've done nothing different. I've travelled the world and done a bit, but I'm 55 now. I still work full time at a zoo. So I get to see all those lovely rhinos and zebras every day. I'm angry because we're all human beings, no matter what continent we're on. We're brothers and sisters around the world. We're human beings. And we pay taxes no matter what country you're in. And every government is reliable and responsible for the people that they represent in their country. Rich or poor, it doesn't matter. Now, why is it that an invading force comes into our world without our consent, our knowledge, bringing bacteria and radiation, invading our airspace, our homes, under the guise of night, without protection from the government is not stopping this, invading your home, taking you against your will, torturing you, ripping chunks out of you, taking your children, and then putting you back, if you're lucky. Now, I'm 55 now, and I had a lot of pain throughout my life. I'm not being compensated for that, and there's no recourse for abductees whatsoever. Now, soldiers have been paid compensation and disability benefits. If I said, Chantal, I woke up during the night, there was a spaceship outside, they took me off, performed experiments on me and put me back, people would laugh at you. Now, if you put a uniform on me and said I was a soldier, and I said to my commanding officer, an invading force entered our world, entered our airspace without prior consent, under the guise of night, captured a soldier on duty, took him, sedated him, tortured him, and put him back. He would have military protection. He would be getting first aid. He would be getting treatment. He would be getting radiation treatment. He would be getting x-rays and scans. You'd have every force and NATO and The Hague out looking for this person for a torture against humanity. Now, why is it? Because I'm a tax-paying citizen that is not happening. And there's millions, and it's not just me. I've seen hundreds of people up there, hundreds. And it's where it was, not just in the UK, it's across the world. Now, when you're young, the only reason I came forward, by the way, if people don't know, is I've been abductee since I was like 5, so 50 years. And I was 6 years old. I woke up in the middle of the night, felt alert, I don't know what it was. Stood at the end of my, got out of bed, walked to the entrance of my threshold of my door, my bedroom. The landing light was on. And all of a sudden, this beam of light shot through the ceiling, straight through the floor. I don't know how long I was stood there for. A couple of seconds, a minute. I was stunned. And all of a sudden, this face appeared made of light. It filled the whole hallway up. It shot towards me. As I turned to run in my room, it overtook me, and I don't remember nothing. And I was 6. By the time I was 13, I think I've been taken 1 or 2 times. And one of the times, like a 6-year-old, I had flashbacks when I was older. And I remember laying there on this bench as a child with this orange light over the top of me with this black grid. And I was like sat up at like 30, 40 degree angle, so I could just see down my body. I couldn't move, couldn't flinch. And it looked like they were putting, so if I struck a match and put it in some jelly, that's exactly what these lasers look like. I didn't know they were lasers at the time. It just like light beams that they were going into these grids in my leg. I didn't feel burning. I didn't smell anything, and it didn't hurt at the time. I didn't know what was going on. And you've got no one to tell. And when you're 6 years old, you wake up in the morning, the day takes over from you, you know, and nothing said. You just think it's a way of life. And don't forget, as a child, you're not taking every day. It's as and when all the times. I've probably been taking more, but don't remember. Like as a teenager, when I was taken, they would, it's like someone blindfolding you, but they were drilling my teeth with like this drill. And it's like a mechanical drill, and your teeth crumbled, and they were gluing it back together with metal ants. That's what it felt like. And I had holes in my leg. It wasn't till in my like 20s that I woke up one morning, 20s or early 30s, and my bum hurt. I saw this flash of light. Now in the night, I woke up during the night, and it felt like I was really alert, like highly alert. I don't know what woke me up. You know, someone knocked your door window, it'd wake you up with a start. I woke up, checked the house, checked the doors, checked the windows, went back to bed, and all of a sudden there's a flash of white light. And the next thing I know, I'm on this bench. Another flash of white light. Don't remember anything else apart from that. And that was it. I woke up. When I did wake up, so it didn't feel like I had sleep. I just woke up. I sat up in bed, and my bottom hurt. It stung like mad, like a bee sting on your bottom, and that's what it felt like. And my husband had left and gone to work, and it was just hurting me all day. And it's always a Friday. You can't get a doctor's appointment. Weekends coming up, and I was busy, so I was working. So I was doing what I had for the day, and it was so sore, stinging. And my husband come home. I said, look, you're going to have to get this thing out. Just cut it out, get it. I've been stung. And he had a look at my bottom. He said, you've not been stung. There's no holes. There's no sting hole. He said, there's nothing. It's smooth as a peach. He said, I said, no. And I put my finger where it had been hurting, and it was stinging. And he said, I said, feel that. And he felt it. And he said, it's like a tiny ball. I can feel it under the skin. I said, look, cut it out. He said, I'm not doing that. I went and got a pair of nail clippers, and foot pliers. And I said to my husband, either you cut this out or I'll go. He goes, no. In the end, about half an hour, it was hurting me that much. I didn't care. And about within a couple of minutes, half an hour of arguing with him, I went and got some Dettol and some bits and pieces, put it on the bed. I laid on the bed, and he cut it out with the nail clippers. And the second he got it out, it stopped stinging. The second he got it out, he went to crack it with the nail clippers, and the nail clippers broke. It broke the nail clippers. And when he picked it up with the tweezers again, it was like a bit of skin attached to it, like a bit of membrane, like a pinky membrane, and it was a silver ball underneath the skin. And he looked at me, he looked at this ball, he said, I don't know how it got in there. He said, we're never talking about this again. He wrapped up in toilet tissue and he put it in the toilet. And then I think it was a few other times, but one of the real times that sticks in my head, like I woke up and they've been in my room. The reason I came forward was, we jumped forward a few years, probably about 10 years ago now. Got to be, nearly 10 years ago this year. And me and my partner went to bed. We had 2 huskies. Went to bed, and I want to say I woke up, but I didn't. All I remember is my eyes just seeing black, trying to move my eyes, and my eyes bulged forward with like a pop, like a suction. And I was in a fetal position, turned over on our bed, turned over facing the right-hand side. And there's a bluey green light that filled inside the room. My partner was gone, and there was this being, literally if I could have moved, I would have grabbed it. It was 2 feet from me, less than 2 feet. It was like that much of the bed, and it was just stood literally there. If I wasn't incapacitated, I would have woke up and grabbed it. And it bent down. It was like the size of a 10-year-old, extremely like anorexic, thin. had like white skin pulled over. I don't know why people call them greys. This thing was like glowing white being. Probably about, it's no taller than a bedpost, about 3 foot tall, really, really skinny. But as it bent down, it had like a biscuit tin head. And where it was so close to me and it bent down, I couldn't see the face of it, but the back of it looked like pushed in mashed potato. It looked different from what it looked different. And as it bent down, I have 3 pictures at the side of my bed with like 2 dogs from when I was a kid. And it bent at a weird angle from its hips, not like a human would do. And then as it bent down to stop, it stopped. It knew I was awake. It didn't want to link with me. And as it stopped, another flash of light appeared. And the next thing I know, it's daylight, my partner is sat up in bed holding his throat. And he said to me, my throat hurts and my bottom hurts. And I said to him, do you remember anything else? He's like, no. And he didn't want to speak about it. Well, within a couple of days, I lost some hair, which never grew back. I had little red marks over my hands and down my neck and on my chest. I lost a couple of teeth. And when I went to the doctor, he says, probably, have you been near radiation? Have you had more X-ray? Anything like that? Like, no. And then I started vomiting blood within a week or 2 weeks. My partner started vomiting blood. He started losing weight rapidly. He's a big man, about 6 foot tall, quite big. Now he's like a skeleton. He's never really recovered from that. He had vomiting. We both had tummy pain. It got worse. I went to see the doctor, and he referred me to see a specialist, a professional, Professor Byrne, at Southampton General Hospital, and he's an endoscopy that does the upper tract and things like that. So I went in for an endoscopy. And in the UK, because I'm allergic to anaesthetic and things like that, they didn't sedate me, so I was awake. So they take you in and they lay you down on this bed, and you can see a big TV screen, and they strap you to this bed so you can't move. Spray some stuff in your mouth, put this like chalk in your mouth so you can't open or close your mouth with a hole in. And they poke a tube down into your stomach with a camera, and you can see inside your body on the screen. I've got a camera there, a screen there, and a screen behind me. And this doctor's there, and they're talking to me, saying, "You're doing why are you doing this?" And he told me it'd be like 3 or 5 minute thing. I was there at least like 25 minutes, and he was going, "I don't know what that is." And I could see this black stuff. He's going, "Get part of that, get a bit of sample of that. I don't know what that is. You're bleeding from here. We don't know what that is. I've never seen that before." Anyway, after a couple of, like, when he'd finished taking bits, he made me sit up, and he was talking to me, and he said, "Look, Tina, I don't know what's going on." He gave me a printout. He said, "I'm not sure what's happened internally." He said, "You've got damage I've never seen before. You've got marks inside which I've never seen before." He said, "I don't know what it is, but the only thing I can treat you with to stop the bleed is ulcer treatment and painkillers." He said, "I'll send off whatever it is before, before you come back next time." I said, "Fine, okay." He said, "If, however, you start vomiting blood again and you get pain," and I'm not talking a little bit of blood, I'm talking like exorcist amount. It was huge amounts. And he said, "Come back straight away, or I'll see you in 4 weeks to see, and we'll have another look to see if it's healing." So he gave me this printout to say where the markings was inside my body, and off I went, and he said, "I'll see you in 4 weeks." Well, I think it was a week later, my partner had his appointment. It came for at different times. So I took my partner over to the clinic, and he came out and he called my partner in, and he said, "Oh, Tina, what are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, my husband." I said, "My husband, He goes, "Do you two live together?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Right, okay, just wait there and I'll find out what's going on." So he took my partner in. Again, he told me it was going to be 20 minutes. He was like 45 minutes in there, 40 minutes. It was a lot of time. And he came out with this yellow bit of paper. He said, "I'm telling you now, go home, have something to eat, come back in an hour, I think hour and a half." He said, "I'll have it," and I'm setting up x-rays, blood tests, and a scan. He said, "I'm sorry to say," because he took us in this little room, "we think your partner has cancer." He said, "Oh, we don't think he has long to live." I was devastated. What? Yeah. And then so we went back that afternoon. But what I did notice with the paperwork he gave me, when they give you this paperwork in the UK, they measure the distance down inside your body. So it's like about 1.5 to 2 foot inside your stomach and tubes. So that's 2 feet. So that's a lot. We both have the identical marks and the same scarring and tissue from that same night. Now, that is irrefutable proof either way you look at it. when we went back, they did the scans and all the blood tests were off the chart. They took blood from me, blood from him. And they said, yeah, he doesn't have long to live. He has, we think, liver cancer, but we can't find it. They can't find it. They couldn't find it. And to this day, like, they still treat him. He's on tablets and he'll probably be on whatever it is for the rest of his life. He's never recovered from that. My dog became ill. And one of the last type of visit things we had, my dog wasn't too well. I went in the garden, picked him up, phoned the vet, came in there and he died. Took him to the vet. I said, my dog was my baby. Took him to the vet. The vet did a blood test because they can't do nothing or an autopsy. But he did a blood test and his T cells were irradiated, which is why he died, my dog. So people and animals do die from this. And then another time when they took me, why do people think, what the questions I have from this is because if there are these other species out there, I mean, I've seen 2 or 3 different types. These little, I call them white, don't know why people call them grey, but they look white close up. Is why aren't other races stopping them do it? And if they're all these, what really pees me off is all these people, these do-gooders, they're nice and they're friendly. Well, hold on, if they're friendly, what abductee do you know have had an appointment to say, yeah, we'll pop round for a cup of tea before we take you off in a little spaceship? They take you under the guise of night when you're at your most vulnerable. They
Yes.
take you That
Absolutely.
is not. Yeah. So there's more going on to it than that. But what people also don't tell you, because I looked into it further, especially after my dog passed away. So that's when I came forward in 2016. I came forward and I spoke to a policeman and he said I need to make an abduction report. I didn't even know what that was. And I spoke to David Hodrin. He's the head chief investigator of the UK and he's he's deputy of ICAR for the UK. And Gary Hesseltine is the ambassador, whatever it is. And David Hodger investigated it for about 8 months. It wasn't just a one-off, and it took 2 years. He got my report out within 2 years. I think he published it in 2017, 18. I think he published my abduction account. It's one of the biggest ones for female in the UK. And then I then found out. I spoke to many different people. I've spoken to CIA's interviewed me. I've spoken to them. I've spoken to Whitley Schreiber. He wrote the Communion, and I was face to face. I met him in England. I met Travis Walton a couple of times, and we spoke both a couple of times about a few things, and mainly like hypnagogic regression and like the pros and cons of that. But what people don't seem to realise is Professor Gary Nolan was asked by the CIA to do some tests. People thought it was alien subjects he wasn't testing. It wasn't. They were human. He released his medical findings. Now, what he did, they was having problems with jet fighters in America. And the pilots were having radiation poisoning. Now, you can find the CIA report online, and Professor Gary Nolan's done a YouTube thing, so you can even find it on YouTube. And he states that a UFO went underneath a jet fighter plane and for 2 seconds, literally a second or two, went underneath past it. So it didn't hover. It was quite close proximity, wasn't touching it, didn't hover, wasn't sustained around it. It just passed underneath it very quickly. When that pilot got off that ship, the aircraft, he was tested. They tested the brains of the pilot, the pressure, scan, x-ray, what have you, they tested him. But Professor Nolan said he's not going to leave it at that. He tested that whole ground crew. So he got a good base. It was proof and to see if it, what happened. And it turned out, now you're forgetting, the jet fighter pilots wear suits. They wear like radiation suits and they're like pressurized suits. They're shield protected suits. The ground crew wear helmets. They wear oxygen stuff sometimes. They wear protective clothing. As an abductee, you wear nothing. You're not protected in any way whatsoever. These ground crew worked underneath this same aircraft and were affected. All their brains and biological tissue had damage from radiation just from being working underneath the ship, which an alien craft passed under. That was 2 seconds, and the ground crew were affected. Now, these things crash in our atmosphere because they don't do too well, which means, like South Africa, you've had some quite big cases over there. Now, if this spaceship lands in a field or even comes close to a school or grounds or cows, it irradiates the ground. It irradiates the oxygen. It irradiates the cow shed and the trees. So your cows and your food chain's contaminated with radiation. Your animals become sick and get cancer. Your children then get cancer because they're exposed to radiation. These things crash in the sea off the coast of Africa. They infect your water with radiation. Your coral, your fish, your children swim in that sea. You eat out of that sea. People don't understand and don't realise that. They're coming in, bringing bacteria in from another dimension. They're bringing radiation in from another dimension. And nobody's checking, looking after our wells and that, and all this Greenpeace, it's humans doing it. Well, what does loads of radiation do when a ship crashes into coral off a reef or in the sea? You know, people don't ask questions like that. And then another time, my evidence is building by then. So I had, I became ill, and one episode they took me. And I woke up. And one night I woke up in this middle of this procedure. I was on a bench. I didn't have any clothes on. They had a tube in my chest. Blood was spurting out of my chest. And my blood hit one of these three little creatures next to me. The one that knows me is on the right. And I have this stomach thing, like a tub on my stomach, like a box. It was like doing something on my stomach, my lower stomach. And now these three little ones were like black inside. They had no emotion, no nothing. They were like voids. They didn't want to contact me. They would have quite left me like a dog dead and moved on to someone else. But the one that knew me made them fix me because my blood was coming out. The little one freaked because it got my blood on because it was spurting out. They did something in my chest that wasn't right. And to take my mind off it, the one that showed me put me in the link. Now, when you're in the link, people say about telepathy. I worked out from a younger age, when they take you, when they get close to you, when people say, you hear people say they lean over you, it's not to frighten you. They lean over you. It's not to look in your eyes. It's to see if you can talk to them, if you can link. I'll call it the link. So when they lean over you, and they check to see if you can link with them, talk to them. Now, as a child, I didn't really realise that when they were looking over me, they were trying to talk to me. When you're 6 years old, you don't know what they're doing. It's like a grey fog. And you think it's part of what's ever going on. It wasn't until I was older I realised that as soon as I saw him, so over time he got further away. So like say maybe the first 3 or 4 times that they took me, he was like this close. But after a while, so when I was 14 or 15, when he came in about 8 feet of me, I'd link automatically. So you'd stop seeing out your eyes and you link to what I call their link. So the only way I could describe it now, I didn't know what Wi-Fi was back then, it didn't exist. It's like if there was a Wi-Fi in this room and he was a router, I connected to his router. And he could speak to me and I could speak to him, like a one-way link. But on a bigger ship, they have like a hive link. When you get into the link, now, I think because I've been taken so many times, I can, as soon as one gets within 8 or 10 feet of me, I can link to him straight away. If there's up to about 6 or 8 of them, I can understand it. Once it's past 8, like if there's 16 of them in a huddle, it's too fast. I can't understand. I can't keep up with it. It's too much. It's just literally too much. You can't. It's like gibberish. You can't understand it, and it's so quick. It feels like someone pulling a silver cord through your head. Well, he started showing me stuff in his link. I think he dumbed it right down so I'd understand it, and he was amazed that I understood it. Then he woke me up. And he was telling me that they needed to give me this bag of clear fluid. It was about that big, and it just looked like. And he said, "Look." And when they say "look," your eyes can zoom in. It's really weird. And it looked like little white clear polos in this water. And he said they needed to give it to me, but they weren't sure how to put it inside me. And he said, I showed him an image of having a blood taken. So I think they tried that. He said I wouldn't be allowed to move, and it all went bright white. They was putting this liquid in my arm. And then when I come round, I think I panicked, and I said to him, "What is in it? It's gonna, it's gonna hurt me. It's gonna hurt me." He said, "No, it's clone blood. When it goes into your bloodstream, your blood will stick to it like glue, and that will help your body reproduce blood quicker. So you won't get sick. It takes on your DNA. The second your blood hits it, it's like clone blood." He called it clone blood. So they give me some of that, and then I'm not sure if it was a few months or within 2 years. Do you have any questions up till now?
I am just, I've never heard about cloned blood. This is crazy. I'm so fascinated. It's amazing to hear you speak. It's like, as to this whole experience, it's almost like it's so normal for you, but I guess you've lived it. So
Yeah.
it is normal for you. I'm very interested, when you talk about the cloned blood, how do they make this cloned blood? From what? Do you know anything about that?
No, but I do know later on another time that they took me, they had these pods, hundreds of pods, like black pods. They're about 2 foot wide, 2 foot tall, on a little pedestal. And it's the only time I was allowed to walk about. But when I got to these pods, the long or short of it is they had babies in them. And when he was talking to me about these babies, they said that they cannot make embryonic fluid to the same level as a human. That's exact words. They cannot make embryonic fluid to the same level as a human. So whatever it is, they couldn't manufacture blood or didn't know how to do blood transfers. But I'm O rhesus negative. I didn't know that, and they didn't tell you in the UK. It wasn't until I had a ruptured ectopic pregnancy and they had to give me blood at the hospital. That's how I found out. But so I don't know what is in that blood, but all I can presume is like I've seen plasma, so I've done nursing and midwifery and things like that. I could just look like a clear plasma. That's all it looked like. It wasn't until he said, look, and or he called it clone blood. It just looked like a clear blood without any colouring, and it looked like they're microscopic little things in. And he said, when it goes into your body, it will, like your blood will stick to it and take on your DNA, take on your blood. It's just like copying my blood. So that's what he said.
It's the technology, and it's so true what you're saying, and I'm so with you in terms of being so effing annoyed because we have been invaded from every angle.
Yeah.
I mean, now, we know they're obsessed with blood, you're right, and with rituals and God knows what else. But this clone blood thing, I've never heard about that, a survivor speak about that before, which is, as I said, very interesting. I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind just reversing a little bit.
Yeah.
You said your first abduction, they came when you were 5.
6,
I'm interested, though. 6.
Yeah.
I'm interesting age again. It's interesting to me. Were you why did they come for you? Were you marked? Were they a special star being? What we realize as well in the system is that some of the kids, they will create them, give them to a family for, let's say, the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then they will take them back again and then use them or, start using them for the reason they created them to begin with.
So I do think there's something for them taking humans. As a kid, I didn't. My first time they took me when I was 6, I didn't see a being. I saw me being on the table and this light come down, and that's it. So I didn't see them first off when I was 6. It wasn't until that they were close to the table I realised that there was someone else there. It's like being in the dark. You wake up in the dark, and they were there. But it's like. My auntie Pat, right? She has 7 or 8 holes in her stomach from when she was taken as a kid. Now, I didn't find that out till a few years ago. I think it's something to do with your biological being. I may say that not from tainted from what other people said in other past cases. I can only tell you about my case. From what I've seen myself, they are technologically advanced. I don't think they are biologically advanced. If they were, they wouldn't need to clone us. They wouldn't need humans. We obviously supply. Looking back now,
I agree.
Yeah. Looking back now, over the years, now like science has come forward. I'm older. I understand more. I've got GSAT in aviation, so I know what I'm talking about. So I know if it's a plane or not. I've got a diploma in nursing and midwifery, so I know a lot about science. I've got a distinction diploma in ufology and investigation. So, and I work at a zoo, and I'm not stupid, so I do understand a lot about science and research, and that is my passion. But I understand more about human beings. Human beings have done more testing. It's like it's like survival of the fittest. We go out and we take some apes or monkeys from the wild. We take the best subjects to get the best specimens. We give them fertility treatment, give them babies, keep the adults, and release the babies when they're old enough back into the wild. I think this is what they're doing to us. But when I spoke to Linda Moulton Howe, and her team's reached out to me again, I think it's Ian, where's his card? Ian Hall something. So we do it to our own things, and in animals and plants. We cultivate them in this country. In our world, and we have a human IVF treatment, and we have adoption. So really, it's no different in other species doing this. That I don't object to. What I do object to is them taking you against your will, hurting you. People have died from being abducted. People don't seem to realise that people have died from being abducted, and that's my gripe. I mean, if they want to come here, there's people that would volunteer to give them samples, but they don't want them. They want the cherry pick of whatever they're taking. And this is nothing new. I think because human beings have such a short lifespan, they've been doing this for thousands of years. If you look back through cave art, drawings, word of mouth, indigenous people, their stories are correct and right. And they all talk about star beings and people coming down. The cold, hard truth of the day, these are beings that are taking humans. We must be dumb as hell, really. And no wonder they don't want nothing to do with us. They just want to take us and use us for our genetics. They're taking cows and mutilating them. There's something they obviously want and can take from cows and make from their resource. As human beings, we are of a vessel, and they want our souls, or they can't reproduce souls, or they can't biologically reproduce anymore. One time when they took me, they said I wouldn't be able to move. I was on this bed. Well, it wasn't a bed. It was like a long metal table. I had this rag on in front of me. Normally, I wouldn't be naked. And I'm quite a loud, aggressive female, so I'm not going to do anything I want to. It's definitely against my will. But they do perceive people as a threat. Now, always when I've been there, the ones that I've linked with, and there's different links on different ships as well, by the way. So it's not the same link in every ship. It's like a different smell sent in your head. If you're on a bigger ship, it's like a different frequency Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi, but it's a different frequency. There's slight differences and subtle differences. But they can block you. So when you're in the link, it's like looking through a two-way mirror, but they can hear you listening. So that's another thing. They can hear you listening in the link. But you can see people who's been taken, abducted. You can see things they've done. You can see back in history. You can see forward in time. You could go any place that they take you, and they put you in bubbles to take you places. Now, this particular time I was on this bench, they said it was definitely an experiment. The one that knows me leaned over me. I'm not sure if I felt nervous, because when you're taken, you can only look forward. You don't know that you can't breathe. You can't look. You can't feel, you can't smell, you can't touch, you can't think. It's just like record forward. This particular time, I could see, I couldn't blink. The one that knows me obviously was trying to reassure me, because when a dentist, you lay in a chair and he looks over you, says, "Oh, you're right, Chantal, you're right, Tina," reassures you before they do any drilling and that. He did that, and I felt calm. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me. I just felt calm, and that was it. And basically, he then said, "You won't be allowed to move for this." And I'm like, "No." He said, "If you agree to behave," so I had to agree. "If you agree to behave, we will sit you up." So I obviously agreed. And when I sat up, I was like stuck together like that, but like I sat up at a 90-degree angle, because before I laid down at a 40-degree angle, 40-degree angle. And I had this rag over me, and I could see over the end of the bed, and I just see this little bit of movement. And it was this white being. It didn't want to be near me. It wasn't frightened. It just did not want to be near me at all. And it came up to the end of the bed, and it was holding something like this next to its arm, like holding it. It was like 3 foot tall, round little, people call it ray, but it is white. I mean, I think they look at grey if they visit you in the dark, or it's the lighting thing, I think. But this thing was like a whitey creature. And because he was small, he was holding the baby at like a weird angle. And then he pulled this rag back. And when he pulled this rag back, it was me as a baby. It was me as a clone. This baby looked about 8 months long, a chubby little girl, black hair. She looked bright pink. Her skin looked bright pink. You know, when a baby's born, it either looks white or very pink. It looked like that. But it was like 8 months long. And I looked at it for a second. I knew it was me. And then all of a sudden she opened her eyes. And then they yanked me back down on this table like that. It was like lights out. And I don't remember nothing. It was like a flash. And then I don't know how much time passed. If it was 30 seconds, a minute, 10 minutes, an hour, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I was out of it. When I came round, he was over me. It was a bright white light. And he said, and I was like, what happened? What happened? And he said, I frightened the baby. They perceived me as a threat and whisked the baby away. They perceived me as a threat and they whisked the baby away. You frightened the baby. That's what he said. I'm like, what do you mean, baby? I frightened the baby. It was me, but it had their black eyes. It had their, like, people say all these eyes. It was like, you know, apple pips. It looked like apple pips shaped eyes and black.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like that.
Wow.
And then he said, the baby wants to meet you. So what do you mean the baby wants to meet me? He said, the baby wants to meet you, but you have to agree you will not be allowed to move. You will not be allowed to move for this part. He said, but you'd have to agree. I said, you sit me right up. And he was like, he didn't really acknowledge anything. But next thing I know, went all bright white. And when I was, when I came round, when the light had gone, I was sat up like this, and someone had turned, felt like someone had turned my head like that. I could just see over my shoulder and down the side of my arm on the breast here. And my arms were like that across my body, I think. And all I could see was this vision. And this creature came back up to me, was holding the baby, like top of its shoulders by its arms, and was holding it out in front of him. And I looked at her and she linked. Now, when she linked to me, they couldn't get in that link. That's something they don't like. When you're talking to your own clones, you pick up so much different information. It was like pipsqueak little female voice. And she goes, I want to take a picture of you. I said, she's no, well, I've taken a picture of you. And I said, what have you done that for? Can I see it? And so she's talking to me telepathically. And so I can't see out my eyes for a second. And it's just me and her talking. And she's showing me this picture. I looked horrendous. My hair was a mess because my hair's naturally curly. I looked like I'd been dragged for a head backwards. Had this cloth on. My face was bright red. It looked like I'd been sweating. I looked awful. I looked like a tramp. I'm like, why have you done that? And she said, because with the others, when they wake the others up, when the others grow, they want to know where they come from. And I said, what do you mean? And she was going, look. And as I looked in this picture, it had data. It wasn't just a photograph in her mind. It had like my blood pressure, my scent, my pheromones, my hormones. It had everything in this picture. And she said it's going to be put in. Yeah, it was going to be put in the link. And so when they brought these babies up, they get the bonding. They need the bonding. That's why I call my book "The Bonded: The Truth About Alien Abduction." And she said we wouldn't survive without it. Every clone, every baby will wake up and want to know where they come from. Now, after that, they took her away. I think they forcibly took her away because they couldn't break our link. I didn't hear another link. So they forcibly took her away, covered her up, and I kept saying, what happened to the baby? Where's the baby? Now, I was getting distressed because and don't forget, I'm quite a big girl. Because I was getting distressed, I'm allergic to anesthetic, so I've had to have operations while I'm awake. When I had to have emergency operation, they basically choked me out. They put my hand on my throat until I stopped breathing, and then they operated. So, and then they give me morphine, doesn't work. But when they give me morphine or any medication, it tastes bitter in my chest. So I was obviously getting antsy on this table. Now, I found out they subdue humans for a frequency and a certain pheromone. So they mix this frequency of light with a pheromone, and that subdues humans. I found that out. That's how they subdue us. Whatever they use, they've been using on me too long. I've either become not susceptible to it anymore, or it doesn't work on me fully. Now, all the bright white light, and he said, we're going to stand you up, Tina, but you have to agree to behave. I'm like, okay. And they stood me up. Now, whether that's because they couldn't move me anywhere, you have to be calm, I think, or sedated when they put you back, because it's in a smaller room. When I stood me up, I felt this bitter taste in my, which I knew that the numbness was wearing off because I could feel and taste. I could never feel that before. It was like a bitterness in my chest and I could breathe it in. So they obviously give me an injection or something. I could feel it. They were controlling me from behind. Excuse me, 1 second. I do apologize. I must let my dog out. 1 second. I'm so sorry.
No problem whatsoever.
Oh, no. She's
Wow.
Well, you got a heck of a story there. She's really hard. This is brilliant. Okay,
Absolutely. Jeez. Miles, people were just a little bit concerned that you might have been abducted.
Well, you know, everybody gets abducted by aliens, but some people get abducted by, you know, something else, you know. That's just so last year. Okay, I'll leave you be. Continue. You're fascinating.
Thank you.
You are.
But that's not the end of it. So when I was stood up, they're urging me to go forward. So now they obviously wanted me to get on with something else because as I got up and moved forward, I could see there was loads of them, at least 16, probably up to 30, but there was at least 16 other little ones in the room. Now, I was in this link. I was in their fog. So when you're actually in the link, you can't see out of your eyes. But when you're in a link with one other, first off, you cannot see out your eyes because you're talking to them. When they want you to do something or you finish speaking, you can see out of your eyes. Now, I was in the link, but I was being deliberately blocked. You can feel them pushing against your link in your head. Now, whether that's to stop me learning more things, because once you're in there is no filter. They can't stop you. You could look anywhere. You just got to know how to navigate it. I don't know how to navigate it. I don't claim to do, but I do know roughly that you can go up and down or anywhere. But this, now I could feel him, whether it was him blocking me or it was done for security reasons, just so I could learn more. But I could feel them pressuring him. They just wanted to get on with whatever was next. And then he urged me to go forward. As I took another step forward, the lights changed, and I could see hundreds of these black pods, not one or two, hundreds of these bloody things. And all of a sudden, I see like these things, they move fast as well, really fast. This little thing, the one that had the baby, ran between the pods, and it stopped in front of the pods, really defiant, and it didn't want me there. It clearly saw me as a threat. It saw me as a threat. I got that from it. It was across, but it was more stronger than hate. It was a threat. It was defending the pods. The one that knows me had a conflab with the others, and he ordered the one in front of him to stand down, to stand back. He said, she's only curious. The others basically ordered him to get out of the way, because they wanted to see my reaction to these pods. But this thing went away. It didn't go far. It was protecting the pods from me. As I got up to this pod, my hand was like moving very slowly like that. And it just looked like, in the 70s, I don't know if you're old enough, but when in the 70s, they used to have these glass coffee mugs. And when you put coffee or water in it, the glass turned black. It looked like that. That's exactly what these pods look like, that black. And I couldn't see it was a baby. And it wasn't until I put my hand out and touched it for a second. As I looked over, I could see this baby. And I could feel cold on my hand. I've never felt anything before because I've been subdued. I could feel cold on my hand. And there was a baby in there with this little red light. And all of a sudden, I'm not sure if I freaked out more. Now, they take your thought before you can even say it, or you're changing your chemical, or your chemical answer, if you're happy or sad, or yes or no, before you can even get it out of your mouth. The pheromone or the part you use in your brain, they read that straight away. It's like a yes or no before it even comes to you. And he was going, no, calm down, relax. He said, we're not hurting the baby. He said, look. So he was deliberately calming me down very quickly, saying, the baby is warm. Look at the red light in there. The red light is regulating the inside of the pod. The baby is warm. It's not cold. We're not hurting the baby. That was made very clear. Then to calm me down, I went to look further over. As I looked over, I see 3 tubes coming out the back of this pod. Down and went into the floor. There was hundreds of these, rows of 3s, hundreds of them. I'm going to try my phone, a little book, show you a picture. And they obviously wanted to get on with what's next, but I stood there. Now, as I went to lean over, I stopped listening out of their pods. I couldn't hear him, and all of a sudden these girls sucked me into a link with them. Like 150 of them or more were in this one link, and they were like pipsqueak little voices, like little tiny lights coming up, but they were pipsqueak voices, and they were all girls. I don't know how I knew that they were all girls talking. They were all talking to me at once, all in this. We were like in our own link. Again, I got yanked back my hand because they couldn't get in the link to listen to what we were saying. They did not like that. They didn't know how that happened. And for a second, the second I pulled my hand off that, I knew they were all females. And they just got at least 14 or 15 of them ran inside my head like metal ants. They wanted to know how they were only grown females and how I knew that, because they didn't know. They didn't know how I knew that they were only females. And it couldn't matter if you were a rapist, you're a mass murderer, a liar, a blackmailer, a killer. All they wanted to know, they were turning over everything in my head. They just wanted to know how I knew that piece of information. And I didn't know. I didn't know. All I knew that they were females. He yanked me back to break that, and I'm not sure if they perceived me as a threat or not. He was trying to talk to them and calm them down. They obviously wanted to get on with what was next. And he showed me a picture, and he said, look, now whether that was to calm me down, again, if what they're using on me doesn't work, I could easily overcome that ship and grab one of those little buggers. They'd be absolutely buggered. There's nothing they could do. I'm 5'9", 5'10", so I'm quite tall and I'm a big woman. I could easily grab one of them. And he's going, look, and as he showed me this thing that went round underneath the floor. And as it went round underneath the floor, it went round in this little box thing. And then, there you go, I wrote it. He said, and then there's like a sound wave. Is that outside the right way? There, like that. That's the image he showed me. Don't know if you can see that.
Right, I can see it, yeah.
Yeah. That is, if you can find that on Birmingham UFO Group, you can also find it on Basis. Birmingham UFO Group, Southampton case, abduction case, it's on there. And he said, this is how our energy works. Do you have any questions up till now? I'll let you have a chance to ask questions.
Wow, I mean, it's amazing what you're saying. Especially when you talk about being pulled into the links, connecting with a baby, and as you say, not just one voice, but all voices, the little pipsqueak voices. Yeah. Were those your little clones?
Yeah. They're all female. They're all my females, all female, yeah. All clones of me. They're all me. All me.
So I would imagine then that there has to be a clone does have a soul. There's no doubt in my mind about that. We've discussed that a lot. And but I would imagine that there has to be some type of memory transfer as well to all the clones.
No, so when they brought that baby over to me, the first one, the one they had like that, and she linked with me, she had all my memories up to, it seemed to be from 8 months to 2 years before. She had all my memories. In that split second when she linked with me, it was like flicking through a book. She had all my memories in that. So she did, but there was a cut off. As soon as the memories ended, it was like a blank sheet, and it was them. But she imagine an 8-month-old baby having 40 years worth of information, being able to talk, and understand what they're saying. But I mean, that wasn't the end of it. There was other times that I thought I was going to die when they strapped me on this other table and I saw this other being thing. But they put me in a bubble. Now, in 2016, I said, and I drew a picture, they put me in a bubble and they took me into another dimension or free space or whatever it was. Now, they can't fly through black space. That's what they told me. I didn't even know there was such a thing. It wasn't until an astrophysicist.
Who is they? Sorry to interrupt you. Do you know who your abductors were? No. Did you ever see them? I mean, other than you talking about.
So I've got.
Can you?
Yep.
Right.
Hold on. I've got a little book here. I've done loads of drawings over the years. Let's start. What have I got here? So that was a terrible drawing, but that's the actual picture. That was the one about the pods in the bed, and that was me on the bed. And then that's a picture of what the pods look like.
Wow.
And that was how many people, all the stars of those little beings around me. And then yeah, so that was the little one when it ran in front of them first. That little being there. He saw me as a threat, and that's what the pods look like. And this is...
Was he one of your clients? The one. Sorry, the one that was threatened by you.
Yeah,
was he one of yours?
No. He was one of these little things. These little ones. They're not supposed to talk to you. These little ones. They don't connect with you. They don't like humans. This is the one that knows me. Him. He's the one that I seen. And this is the other being. I said when I was strapped to that bed and I thought it was going to eat me. That thing. And his head was bigger than my body. And when I was on this, so I see these other two creatures like that. That's the other ones I see. They were very, very thin, like massive heads, very small, and their legs were like tiny little knobbly knee legs. But they were at the back of the stream. I got another incident. I was what I call on the travelator. I didn't realise I was in the air. So this thing was about 16 feet in the air. And they had like a massive light behind it. Is that the right way up? Yeah, no, that way up. And then I came round. I was in front of this light up here, like here. And there was like this travelator, like an S-shaped thing. And what happened was, I was looking forward. All I could see was bright white light, and I couldn't see nothing else. Then I got a feeling I was being moved sideways to the left. As I moved to the left slightly, I don't know how long I was up there. I didn't know if it was the light moving or me moving. It happened again, and that's when I saw it's had a massive spot searchlight, massive it was, and it had like a scaffolding behind it, and the beings looked black on it because the light was so bright. It was so bright. All I could see was like little beings. Then it moved again, and then that's when I saw it. It was like looking down at a pit, and I realised I must have been 16 or 20 feet off the floor. I didn't realise. And as I looked down, there was two, like a walkway at the middle, and that's where there's two round beings, where the ones with the big heads and the vein down them. They were there, and they're like black panels. But I couldn't see the lights on the panels. I could see lights reflecting off the skin. So you knew lights were on the panels because the panels were facing away from me. But there's little lights reflecting on their skin. And the one that knows me was at the front. As soon as he saw me, he linked with me because he realised I was awake. And the other two or three stopped what they were doing and physically looked at him. Now, as it turned, this thing kept turning. It turned sideways like that. So I was bolted to it. It wasn't until I turned sideways like that. This whole thing turned sideways to the left because it wasn't straight. It went like that. And as it turned, there's a bloke next to me, hung up next to me, and a great big cylinder, silver tube that came down his back and down the neck, down underneath the armpits to up here like a giant fish hook. And we were all hung up on them. Hundreds of people, men and women. He had like a man's jacket, silver suit on, short brown cut hair, probably in his 40s. And there was like men and women all the way down. But they were awake. Their eyes were open, but they weren't moving. And when I looked back down, the others down there, the other little ones must have stopped and noticed the other ones. He wasn't talking to the little ones. And he was trying to tell them that I was a seer. He said, before he could do anything, before he could say I was a seer, I'm from an old line. That's what he said, I'm from an old line. He said they didn't think was alive on this planet anymore. This little one, and he moved so fast, it was so quick. He had this like his plate thing. I'm not sure if he dropped it or put it on the side. He ran down and jumped up. He jumped over the little table, ran straight down, and he jumped up to touch me, either with a finger or something in his hand. And that was it. I don't remember nothing after that. But a couple of days later, I had to go into Southampton, where I live in England, and I had to get passport photos. So don't forget, I was a nurse, nursing. Now, as I went in, and my mum came with me, went into a post office, put £4.75. Remember the old-fashioned boobs? She pulled the curtain round. And this picture came up. So this is the original picture. And you see the bruising around my neck?
Yeah.
Now, as you see me now, you can't see anything. And it was like that. There was no bruising. It was like this. The picture came out like that. And I could hear my mum go, what's going on? And she pulled me over, pulled my blonde hair at the time out the way. She's looking all around my neck. And she said, what on earth is that? What's going on there? And you couldn't see anything. My skin was white. She goes, that's it. There you go. There's the date on the back. 9th to 11th, 2002. So we got in the car, drove about a mile down the road to a place called Woolston, and went in there. And we had another set taken into Woolworths, but £4.75 in there again. Had another set, but we left them at the doctor's. And they came out exactly the same. My mum said, you're not going to work. You're going to the doctor's. And I can't remember if it was that afternoon or the next morning.
Tina, can I just interrupt on that?
Yes.
Next time anything like that happens, can you get it done with ultraviolet light, even soft ultraviolet?
Yeah,
because that can show an awful lot more.
Yeah. So what happened was I went to see the doctor, made an appointment, and I said, because what can I do for you, Tina? And I put this photograph, the other one, set of 4 in front of him on the table. I said, my mum's worried that something more's going on. And he looked, and he got a pencil, exactly pencil like that, a different coloured pencil. And he got the pencil on the photograph, and he pushed the photographs back to me so he didn't have to touch the photographs. And he said, I know what it is. He said, I suspect. He said, Tina, if you've had surgery, like deep tissue surgery or deep tissue severe damage, some surgeries show up under different lights. It's called deep tissue damage, and they don't show up under normal light. But if you've had severe operations and pressure, it shows up under like light. He said, I suggest you go back in 4 or 5 days.
That's the point, Tina. It's UVA, UVB, and UVC light shows stuff up to a month after it happens.
Yeah, well, this is 2002, so I didn't know then. This was a couple of days after it happened. Now, so he checked, but he did check me over. He looked in my ears, in my mouth, underneath my arms, in my back, in my ears. He checked everywhere. He checked me over, the doctor, and he said, if you was to say your throat hurt, I could send you out to the hospital and they could give you x-rays and scans. But if you've got no pain, Tina, he said, I can't send you to A&E on the basis of a photograph, which I completely understood. He said, however, go back in 5 days to a photo booth and get some more pictures. If the images, have significantly reduced, you know that it is real and it is healing. He said, we rule out strangulation because it goes round your neck, because it's in a place where you couldn't be hung or suffocated. So if you see there, it's too low down. So it's actually on the top of your clavicle bones. So I went back with my hair up a week later, and you could still see the bruising had spread, but significantly subsided. See? So there's the original. And that was 4 days later, 5 days later. So and I said, I'm not going back to standing in a naked in a photo booth and having pictures taken. However, the passport office sent the return passports back, and this is the passport photos I had to take because I had bruising on my neck. They wouldn't take it, so I had to wear a red jumper zipped up to my chin so the bruising didn't show. So the passport office issued me this passport. So there it is there on my old passport. There you go. So I had to have it zipped right up. So it wouldn't show on my passport because they wouldn't accept it. So that was that. And then, so I had the evidence from the endoscopies, had the evidence from the pictures. I also fell over, passed out, fell down the stairs and broke my foot. I also snapped my toes. So I had a Jones's break, severe Jones's break a couple of years ago, and they took me down to the x-ray room and did an x-ray. I'm not sure if I have those pictures here, but you can find them online. Miles has them. And what happened was they took an x-ray and they found a chip in my foot. They said it must have been put in there pre-birth because you can actually see the screw marks and it didn't disrupt any tissue above it. And so there was one there. They took a chest x-ray. They found 2 silver balls in my chest. On an x-ray. I'm not sure if I've got the pictures here. I might have some actual pictures here to show you.
Would the chest balls also be pre-birth?
They weren't sure, but they found another chip in my shoulder. But on the same X-ray, they took a. What's that then? They took another X-ray. Yes, there you go. So that is my X-ray. I've got the full X-ray. Miles got it, but they zoomed it in so you could see it. So it is there. That's on my left shoulder, and it's the same as the one in my foot. Triangle shaped. It's actually implanted in the bone. It's metal, and when they enlarged it, you can see the screw marks. That was taken from a larger picture of this. Now, what you can't see, this is my right side of my chest. I think it's about third or fourth rib down. There, they actually there on here. There's 1, 2. There's actually 3. There's one there, but we zoomed it in. I said, "Why is one black?" He said, "One's metal." I said, "Why is that like a greeny colour?" And apparently there's another one there. It's white. They think it's been there since God knows how long. The green one apparently has a membrane in, which means it's active. A membrane has grown over it, so it's connected to my nervous system from my chest to my brain. That's why. They're not sure about the black one, but they look like they've been there a significant amount of time. And that was taken in 2023. So I've got the chest X-ray, the shoulder X-ray, the foot X-ray. I have the endoscopies from inside. I also have, I had to have a hysterectomy. Now, when I had this hysterectomy, they told me, because I'm allergic to anaesthetic, it would be, they give me, so I'm just filming live, they give me a laparoscopy, and they said it'd be half an hour, Tina, we'll give you a little hysterectomy, and it'll all be over, just like a miniature one, and fine. 8 hours in surgery for hysterectomy. I had 267 stitches, 22 staples, a drain, and they said they had to get 2 other anaesthetists in, so there was 3 anaesthetists in the room. And my bit of paper, when they give it to me, said, "Tina, when we cut you in half, I was on top of you, doing this inside your body, and I was pulling out handfuls of black membrane." It's not endometriosis because it's not even mentioned. And she has been a top gynecologist for 15, 20 years, so she would know endometriosis if she saw it. She called it the same as the doctor did. He put the camera down my throat, black webbing. Said it's completely overgrown and attached inside your body. They cut my womb out, the shell it sits in. She said, "This stuff, I was pulling it out of you like that." She said, "There's still stuff in there we couldn't get out, so some of it's still in there." She said, "Your body," and that's on the report, which Miles Johnston has, he can send you. I can send you all this, pictures, when I come off. And it says, "My pelvis is completely obliterated from right to left with thousands of needle marks. It looks like someone stabbed me thousands of times on both across my pelvis. It's completely obliterated. And it looks like," he said, "it's a good place to take DNA from, or bone marrow." He said, "Have you had surgery anywhere?" I'm like, "No." They could tell I hadn't had surgery. Well, I had ectopic pregnancy before, but to actually get inside your pelvis and take it. So I had that. I had that surgery. So I have that. I've done drawings from all my other experiences, the face I saw in the light, the spider they put in my head. I've got where they took the babies to. They showed me a planet of where they was taking the babies to. I've done a star chart. I've had a object removed from my hand, and there's another one in there.
The spider they put in your head?
Yeah, they put a spider in my head to make me forget. When they took me another time, they put like an image of a spider in my head. That was the image they put in my head, a giant spider, like to make me forget. It was like trying to be a terrified thing. I did forget a lot of things for a while, but it just wouldn't go. And then there's other things they told me, which I actually wrote down. I get this. So this was wrote many years ago, but this was published in 2016, 2017. So you can also look this up. Now, they asked me to stay with them one time. They let me stand at this window. I was on this bench thing. Oh, that's another thing. And they said, would I like to stay with them? Because I could talk to them. And I'm like, I've never seen it like another human walking about or anything. So I said no. And they read that, before I could even say no, they read that as an instinct of no. And he said, "Well, this is what's going to happen to you, and you're going to die like this." And he showed me a picture of the end of the world, how people die. But he also told me to remember 1359. So I wrote this down from that night. And he also said, They showed me diagrams and masses and numbers and that. And the numbers I wrote down, I gave to David Hodgren, and they said it was the mass summit of Jupiter. So this is in 2016. This came out. It said in 2022, continuing to 2024, there'll be two wars. A war. In 2026, there will be a world war till 2028, and they told me that in 2016.
Wow.
This is published. You can look this up with a date on there on the case file of 2016, 2017. And there's loads of other bits and pieces that I've gone through. And I found another abductee in Britain that had the same markings on her leg at the same depth inside of her body as I did. So there's loads of other, evidence and things like that, and loads of pictures, and yeah. But any questions?
How much time do we have?
it's on you. I don't think about.
I'm like listening to you, and yes, I have a million questions. So I definitely have to have you on at least another 10 times, because there's so much that we can talk about. But yeah. I find it fascinating when you have, what you were saying about the little balls, and that they were put in there pre-birth, because that tells me that they already marked you somehow. Was that in the womb of your mom? They must have, because you know what these guys are like. They will follow the bloodlines. They know they've got so much technology that knows where your soul is. And interesting that you were saying about you have an unusual bloodline that they didn't think was around anymore, I think you said. Can you share a little bit about that?
So that's all he said. I didn't, I'm just a normal everyday person, but I had a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. And so in the UK, they don't tell you your blood type. We don't know. They don't tell you in the UK. So I was not long married, and I'd had an ectopic pregnancy. They rushed me in. And because I'm allergic to anaesthetic, and it was a massive issue. And because they had time to draw blood and things like that, they took me over to a maternity hospital across the road, and the doctor came in and said, "Oh, what's your blood group?" I was like, "I don't know." And he picked up this paper and said, "Your ovaries is negative." He said, "I've got to get different blood in, the blood, I said, "What do you mean?" I didn't even know what that meant. And by then things had progressed, and I started to hemorrhage or whatever, and they rushed me down to theatre. But when I came around, my husband had to sign a bit of paper. This is the first one, because I've had to have it twice, and I had to have the injection called anti-D. And that's to stop my blood cells attacking my body where the baby's blood had ruptured, where I had this ruptured ectopic pregnancy, to stop it circulating around and attacking my immune system. So I had to have anti-D then, and then I had to have bone marrow from another person who was O-rhesus negative. And then about 10 years later, I had another ectopic pregnancy on the other side, and I had to have O-rhesus negative twice then again. But yes, I'm O-rhesus negative. But I had a DNA test done on Ancestry. Whether how that good, it says I'm British, but my descent is like Norse. So I've got Norwegian, like the Faroe Islands, Greenland, Iceland, Germany, Finland, England, parts of France, so I've got, that's my bloodline, but that's what my DNA. I think my brother, my eldest brother, he was in the military. He was O negative, but I don't know if he was O-rhesus negative. I don't know, but when they take you into war, whatever situation, they tattoo it on your arm, and he had a tattoo saying O negative. So I don't know if he's O-rhesus negative, but I know my older brother. I don't know anyone else's in my family. However, my mum's had a lot of serious things that she should be dead, and she survived. My mum has a rare type of brain tumour. It's called a left aortic canal brain tumour. And it sits there, it's grown halfway across the tube in her brain. But they're saying that she shouldn't be able to talk or speak from where it is in her brain. They found another lump inside her lung, which looks like lung cancer. But again, it's grown, hasn't spread, and hasn't done nothing. She has an elongated bone in her neck. And she grew an extra finger on her hand, which we took pictures of. It came out the top of her finger, and they cut it out twice. It looked really freaky. And they had to cut it out 2 or 3 times, and because it hemorrhaged when they cut it off, they had to go to hospital and give her silver and nitrate or something on it. My auntie Pat has also got 8 holes in her stomach, and she also has a different type of rare brain tumor. And so there's all so it does make you think. But I'm allergic to anesthetic as well, so Any other questions?
Sure. I mean, this is absolutely fascinating. I mean, your story really, really is fascinating. You know, when you talk about, there's obviously there's, you know, I take what. Sorry, there's just so much in my head. I'm trying to just separate.
Yeah.
I'm taking what you've said about these experiences that you've had with these off-worldly beings, whatever they are. Obviously, taking your DNA, taking your eggs, taking whatever they need to create more of you, right? And then again, you know, I know that you and Beverly Rhodes were on the same conference recently. You know, she talks about a similar experience where her handler off-worldly was a lion being, like a great big cat being, you know. And also, you know, but from what she says, he didn't hurt her. He was not mean, you know. Why do you think they are so fascinated with humans? I mean, we know that we have a
from what I understand, just from what I've seen, so this is not interpreting anyone else's, just from what I see, if they're claiming, they took me on board this ship and there was billions of eggs, not just mine, from all these people, they'd taken billions of them, and all in drawers. But there's something we can do that they cannot. Whether if that's telepathy that came from us and that's something that they've grown and used, whether it's our DNA and they can't produce it, they can't produce embryonic fluid to the same levels as humans. So perhaps they are unable to breed. They can't breed. We're very good breeders. We're very good at it. Perhaps they're unable to breed. Perhaps they don't have souls. And the only way that they can create souls is through human beings. We do something that they cannot. Therefore, we're a resource. They also told us they told me there's something that they like about our water, which is why they come to the planet. There's something in the water they like. They said that the others are coming. They're not supposed to come here, but they do. So they know that there's others. But there's something definitely we can do that they cannot, and they are better with us. Whether that's strength, our bodies, our capabilities, short lifespan, I don't know, but it's something that they don't possess.
Right. Tina, would that be source, life-giving source?
Possibly.
Energy.
Possibly.
Yeah.
They copy, but they can't create.
Yeah. They can't reappropriate. Yeah.
Absolutely. I would definitely say that, you know, the consciousness that we have a juiciness within our spirit that makes us heart beings. We can feel, we can see, we can think. You know, when you look at most of these ETs, they have absolutely no empathy. It's like they're very, very, it's like there's no emotion. Yes, there's no emotion. And that's, I think, what a lot of them actually learn from us. If we in the good, you know, looking at the good side of it, because I do believe there are a lot that learn from us. I'm actually in a process of experiencing exactly that right now, of understanding as much as what we learn from them, if we're willing to learn, they learn from us. And what this one has told me is about emotion. He told me I made him laugh. He didn't know what it was to laugh. So that's what he told me. So at the same time, we're giving them. Sorry, carry on.
You're very right in what you say, Chantal, because that little girl had all my memories. However, she may have had instinct. Perhaps it's our instinct, because I've got a very good, sharp instinct.
Yeah.
But she was devoid of emotion. So whether that's emotion that they took out of her to replace with their bit or what, but she's devoid of emotion. But we're very good on instincts. You're very right, yeah.
And if you look at that,
expressing emotion is an important thing.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't handle our emotion.
Yeah. It's exactly that, because that's how we manifest. I mean, they manifest through us. If you look at all these psyops that they do and all this stuff they put on TV, that they literally create the fear, so that we can create the outcome they want. They literally, we have that consciousness that they do not have, that emotion, that heart, that loves, that has the capacity to love, to forgive, to hug, to hold, to apologize, to make peace.
I'm angry because they are stripping us of our humanity. When they do this to you, we're being obfuscated. We've been stripped of our humanity, of who we are. We should be one race. We should be bombing each other, blowing everyone up. If you're black, white, yellow, pink, purple, it doesn't matter. We're all brothers and sisters in this. And at the end of the day, we've been obfuscated. We've been stripped of our humanity. And it's not fair. And using us like lab rats. And that's not fair either. If they are all these light beings and they are about love and they're about this, then why are they doing this to us? Why don't they just come forward and say...
Yeah. I really think, honestly,
well, that's the point.
It's the experimentation, because they can't figure out what makes us different. So they will therefore pretend. They'll pretend that they hate us, and they'll pretend that we're pathetic and insignificant. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I believe the human consciousness, and they know this, contains the complete recipe, geometry, DNA, whatever. And it's not just the DNA, it's what drives the DNA, right? It's this energy that drives, that creates more of who we are, right? Yeah. So I do believe that's what they try to do. They have no idea what we're capable of, and they see us, they're fascinated by us. We're like a bunch of puppies to them that are a new breed, and we're cute, and they just want to see what makes us cute, kind of thing. And
they've been at this a long time.
Yeah, and I think they steal from us. They steal our eggs. They steal the men's sperm. They steal our consciousness. They steal our cells. They steal our babies. They don't have that, so they can't do that. And that's truly what I believe. The human being contains the full geometry of the God print. We as humans contain the full God print, and they don't like it. Now, whether we are active in that God print or not yet, is most of us aren't. We still half in and half out, and that's why they try and stop us, with technology and stuff, because that disconnects us from our true consciousness, from our roots. So they can get us a whole lot easier to do what they want us to do when we are complying with their agenda.
When I was restrained on the bridge, the thing you said to me, they don't like our behaviour, whether that's our anger or our drive, the bit that drives us, or what we're doing to the planet. If they were that bored, they would have made themselves known long before now. But with that, I'm going to be tempted to leave you in a minute, and I'm just going to say before I go, watch Miles Johnston, watch Basis TV, and get perhaps Miles, if you're listening. Get us to go to Africa, whatever part of Africa Chantal is, and we can take it over there.
Listen, we're on a beautiful part of Africa. On the garden route here, the best part. So you guys have got to come to your conference here, that's for sure. And that's your book, Tina. So tell us about your book.
You can, so you can buy this on Amazon. It's on Amazon Kindle. You can get audiobooks. It's free on Amazon Unlimited. So if you've got Amazon Unlimited, you can get it for free. You can buy it, and it's coming out on audio soon. But my other book's also available in audio. That's just a fantasy book. I wrote The Guardians of Light and The Brotherhood of the Night. But this one's just literally about my.
What's it called, Tina?
It's called The Bonded: The Truth About Alien Abduction.
The truth about alien abduction. Okay.
And it was made this big purely because they were going to put pictures in it, but at the last minute, or for 2 years, they couldn't put the prints of they couldn't publish it with my photographs in for some reason. Even their IT department couldn't do it. So whether that was down to the government or not, but there it is. It's called The Bonded, The Truth About Alien Abduction. Buy it today and you can have it tomorrow. Buy it on Amazon. It's free on Unlimited and you can get it on Kindle as well. You can watch my interviews on YouTube. Miles has interviewed me many times. He's got 3 or 4 parts. Many hundreds of people have interviewed me, and that's all over YouTube as well, different channels. I do lots of appearances, talks, lectures, interviews from people all over the world. But I'd love to come to Africa with Miles one day, and we'll come over there and definitely get that underway. But until next time, is there anything else you want to ask me before I go? It's been wonderful.
It's wonderful. No, I have a million questions, but I will definitely have time to. I'm going to watch our interview again for sure, because there's a lot, and I'm fascinated by what you're saying. So I'm like still processing something, and then I catch you saying something else again. It's amazing. What an incredible human being you are. Thank you.
The key to this is that Tina has hard data from NHS hospitals, and that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Wow. ...
Without saying too much.
Right then.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chantal.
I think Chantal knows a few things as well.
And I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much.
God bless. Take
Tina, your last talk at the rugby club will be ready in about a day or two, okay?
Lovely. Thank you. And I'll see you all soon, guys. Bye, but thank you for watching. Brilliant. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, Tina.
Bye-bye.
Wow, Miles. What a fascinating lady.
I really felt it was better. I just got off scene and you two just got on with it, because she is an incredible woman with fortitude and her fighting spirit. And she's gone through hell. Was that okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, and it's just tomorrow I'm getting a new speaker. So I won't be sitting with these things in my ears falling. Yes. And so I won't be sitting with earpods falling out of my ears.
These types of microphone are deaf behind them. So they're that's the point about this style. It's for use to keep the voice here.
Yes.
But here. You know what I mean? Good old-fashioned steam radio mics. Apart from the fact they look...
Well, I'm getting one tomorrow, a big one. I'll be speaking into the mic.
But you do need to speak into it. Yeah. But that's technical. Listen, you're doing a tremendous job. And I've just seen some news from Danny Henderson and the team over in Holland about the Bill Gates thing, that case there.
Yes.
So that's a big thing that she's gone over there. I'm sure she'll be doing a report or something on that.
Well, definitely. That'll be so cool. I'd love to actually chat to her again after she's been there with all these court cases and things going on and all the deletes starting to fall. And I'm hearing as well that a lot of the older businesses in Europe, like the old money, that's starting to collapse as well. So the system is starting to fall, and I think it's starting to collapse.
A lot of things behind the scenes going on there, but it's going to be it's going to look as if we could be in for a very hard time here in Europe, because but we'll see.
If he had to come to Africa,
Tina said something at her talk in a rugby club here in Devizes about a war that starts in 2026. It doesn't end until 2028. So we'll have to see.
God, I hope I honestly hope that we've done enough to shift that timeline. Honestly, I do.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that depends on how many people have woken up. That depends on our shift in consciousness. That depends on, people not following that bullshit of jabs. And, I hope that
all
COVID is woken enough people up.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned them in pushback. It's called pushback, and we will push back. As you were saying, we create the realities. We just need to create the reality without these parasites.
Yeah.
and then everything
Their
will be
time is
okay.
over for sure. Their time is over for sure. You know, and our time is over there now as well, if we choose it to be, because this is what it is to get out of the matrix. The matrix, you know, the matrix is about lack of knowledge. It really is. It's about lack of understanding of who we are. That, at the end of the day, is what it's about. When we really understand the power that we hold as human beings within every cell of our body, we wouldn't be sitting for 3 seconds more in the matrix. That's
Well, that's great. We've
my
got a
story,
pretty
and I'm
busy
sticking
day
to
here.
it.
I've got another show in about 10 minutes with somebody, and they've got another one after that, another one after that. My God. So
Popular
obviously,
guy.
the need
Gosh.
search for
Okay.
knowledge is increasing.
Miles, it's always a pleasure having you. And I would love Tina to join us again sometime in one of our future shows, but we can chat about that. And I think what a great, great guest. And thank you for sharing her with us tonight. And
Well, she was
I
at
look forward to
2025 in December, and we're getting the conference, the full disclosure, the European International Disclosure Conference, 19th, 20th, and 21st of June. We're firming that lineup up this afternoon, and we're going to start talking about that shortly. And we'll see how the next weeks and days and weeks and months pan out.
Perfect. Look forward. And I look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. Well, maybe a different
Next
time.
exciting
maybe
episode. And
Yes.
Johnny Enoch is still
Stay
flying
tuned.
around. He can't be found. Where is he? This is the sort of thing you get at conferences, you know, and you just keep spinning them. I don't know. You see the change? It changes color.
You're such a boy. Boys and their toys.
Yeah. It's good to sit
It's very cute. I love it.
Illustrate carbon fiber ball bearings, actually. There's always these things, you know, look at how frictionless this is. Anyway, that's me bringing a firm ground, feet firmly on the ground science here. Okay.
We love it, Miles. And thank you for your...
Really good to see you, and I'm very glad and happy that you're able to shift the time so late in the day. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Really no problem at all. Take care, Miles. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
And take care, all our amazing viewers. Thank you for stopping by with us, for sharing your time with us. And I really hope you enjoyed Tina. I think she's amazing. Definitely be having more of her in the future. And on that note, I might or might not see you tomorrow, but I'll definitely see you on Wednesday. Take care, everybody. God bless you all. Stay cool. Stay calm. Stay kind.